The greatest mistake you can make in life is to be continually fearing that you will make one. Elbert Hubbard. My friends, don't be worried about mistakes. That's what practice trading is all about. That's why we ask you to spend 10 to 15 minutes a day with us each and every day the market's open, learning how to practice trade these charts, how to become a charting master at no risk and no cost. So again, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Use those trade worksheets. They're available for free in your show notes. If you don't have our book, we have an autographed copy waiting for you. We also have recorded Chapter 2 for you. I encourage you to listen to that. It will be at the end of today's video about how power and wealth flow from the charts. We're actually redoing the book into an high E book. What we mean by that is a hyperlinked electronic book. Everybody who has the first and second editions of the book, the hard book, we will be sending you a free copy. So please go ahead, buy the current book as it is, because you want to go ahead and get started doing this. And we will send you the latest version as soon as it is ready. Follow the link in the show notes. Appreciate our Patreon supporters, all those recent people that have joined us. Of course, what do we send to you when you become a Patreon supporter? You immediately get the 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. Plus, you can join us for the live question and answer call-in sessions every month where we answer your specific questions and we help you chart the ETFs and stocks you're interested in so you can practice trade them. Also today, big news when we talk about Bitcoin. Can't wait for you to see what's going on there. Down for the day real big, but offering some potential opportunities. And of course, in your show notes, you will see the Bitcoin charting training is there again for you today. If you didn't get it last week, it's there. Now, let's jump into these charts. We see the S&P 500 down just a little bit for the day, 0.67%. It's not reaching a higher high yet. We do have a green up candle, but again, the wick on top not reaching as high as the prior week. Consequently, price percent oscillator's flat, derivative oscillator losing momentum. Go to the 2-day chart. Is it going to finish drawing tomorrow, crossing over, going up? It is a little bit right now, but again, it's a red open box candle, which means a pullback in the up movement. That's not a good sign, but we'll see how things end up at the end of the day on Tuesday. Go ahead and mark your show notes, mark your calendar, set your alarm to check the market around 3:45 to see where it is, and if you have a potential jumping in point for a practice up trade on a 2-day recross. Those of you who don't know what a 2-day recross is, you haven't read the book, you hadn't been here long, I'll tell you. It means that the 2-day has pulled back in the opposite direction of the weekly in the S&P right now. The weekly's in a confirmed up move. The 2-day crossed over going down back on Monday, the 21st of December. And it's taken it a while to try to cross back over in the same direction as the weekly again. That's what we call a 2-day recross. At the end of that candle forming, if indeed it is a nice crossover and we have backtracked and seen how accurate those recrosses have been on the specific chart, and we believe it has a high probability of doing the right thing, that is continuing to go up, we jump in. I want you to backtrack and practice. In fact, I'm going to put that backtracking training in this one too at the end of the training today. I'm writing that down now because I want you to watch that training. Very important that you understand what I mean when I say backtracking. And if the backtracking proves to you that the ETF or stock you're interested in is chartable, that means you have a number of weekly vertical crossovers during the year. I'd say 4, 6, 10 at the most. I can't imagine anything being more than that. That's a lot of weekly vertical crossovers, but 4 to 8, we'll say. And that those are 80 to 90% of the time you can count on those. When those weekly vertical crossovers happen on the price percent oscillator, that's where they occur, crossing over the red signal line. If they're accurate that much of the time, it means it's something you can rely on. Then you go back and you also check the 2-day recrosses. And if those work too, then you prepare to practice trade those also. That's the key to what we do. Is that simple? It's pretty simple. And I encourage you, read the book, practice with us, and learn how this works. It's not rocket science, it's charting art. Now, what's happening on the half-day chart? We can see where it's slid sideways on Monday after topping out on Friday. So again, keep our eye on things, see what happens with this weakness. Now again, the weakness primarily on the little chart, trying to cross over on the 2-day, and on the weekly chart, it's just flat, still positive. So keep that in mind. Now the big down move so far as our two stocks indexes go, is with the NASDAQ 100, QQQ, the tech stocks. We again are hitting a lower high so far this week as compared to last week. Price percent oscillator is actually just a little bit above the red signal line, but again, very, very weak, laminated there. Derivative oscillator losing momentum. Look at the 2-day. Not enough energy to cross over. We're wondering if that's going to happen. Now, if it's a big booming day tomorrow, you could see this end crossing over, going up. Derivative oscillator still negative, but if it's a big up day, then of course be ready to potentially pull the trigger on a practice trade on a 2-day recross. Don't know that that's going to happen. I'm just telling you. That's why you fill out your show notes every day. That's why you mark this stuff down. Again, show notes. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about your daily market worksheet and your weekly market worksheet. Weekly market worksheet you fill out after the close of the market on Friday on our weekly review and forecast. The daily reviews that we do, that's when you fill out the daily market worksheet. That becomes your stock trader's almanac. It's what you have to go back and to really super learn from. Nothing will teach you like putting pen to paper, writing down the arrows as to which way the derivative oscillator is moving, the price percent oscillator. You'll see those charts. Also trainings on how to fill those out. It's in your show notes every day. PDFs so that you can print out the worksheets, and you'll see the videos attached there in your show notes so you can learn how to fill them out. All this stuff is free. If you want to support us, buy our book, become a Patreon member. But at the same time, if you're just starting off and you're struggling, just do what we tell you to do. Practice this to learn it. Now, what's up with the half day? Down in the morning, further down in the afternoon, still positive, but price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator still positive, but heading down. That's where we are as far as stocks go. Let's go to bonds. Boy, look at bonds hammering down. Remember we had that 2-day recross last week? We'll get to that in a minute. Bonds down for the day, 0.17%, but look at that. Again, Heiken Ashi candlestick hammering down quite nicely. Price percent oscillator spiking over. Derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. That's good to see. We look at the 2-day chart first. This latest 2-day candle moving down nicely. Price percent oscillator moving down. Derivative oscillator heading down. We look at the half day. Gives us a little bit of a better insight as to how the down movement is slowing. So keep your eye on things, and we will continue to watch and see how this continues to develop. I would like to try to redraw our trend line a little better. Can we connect closer to and still get 3 candles on there? We'll give it a shot. Okay, so we're still heading down on everything. Again, nice to see. Our jumping in point on this last bond trade. Now again, this is an inverse trade. For those not familiar with that, there are funds or options that can help you make money in your practice trades while things go down. TBF is an inverse fund. It is the inverse of the 20-year Treasury bond fund. Let me put that in for you, but before I do, check out how you see red candles. Now we go to TBF, Tango, Bravo, Foxtrot. That is the inverse of 20. Look at that, 3 green up candles. What's that about? It's an inverse fund. It's the short. Whenever you hear short, that means that when things go down, it goes up. You're going short in the market. You're looking to make money as the market goes down. Well, that's what this fund tracks. It tries to track percentage to percentage, down movement in TLT. It tries to go up 1% for each 1% down. Now, it is, again, I want you to practice trade these and learn what these are all about. They are not for everyone. They have high fees. They are recalculated quite often. And again, it's not something that you're in for a long-term period, but it's something I want you to practice and see if it works for you. Same thing with puts. That's also how you short the market. It is a type of option. We want you to learn about those. And of course, that training is available for free at any of our Patreon support levels. 3-part training, charting under its Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. Want you to have that. Now let's look finally. We've already talked about what's going on the short chart on 20-year bonds. Now let's move on to gold. Gold down for the day, 0.20%. Let's start off as we always do with the weekly. Check it out. After 4 weeks of trying to move up in gold, all of a sudden, not enough energy to cross over on that weekly chart. Gold just takes a tumble on the weekly. We see the price percent oscillator moving away from the red signal line down. Derivative oscillator still losing downward momentum. We look at the 2-day chart. And of course, after a red down candle representing Thursday and Friday of last week, Monday, the first day of this latest 2-day candle heading down, not reaching a lower low, but moving down, maybe you're going to have a 2-day recross. Put this down in your show notes. Are you going to have a 2-day recross going down in gold? You may very well at the close of the market on Tuesday. Mark that down. Pay close attention to that. What do we see on the half day? Strong down movement on Friday. Not as much on Monday. So maybe that movement's slowing and you're not going to have that crossover. Pay attention. Watch the charts. Again, your buying point for your practice trade may be tomorrow afternoon when that 2-day candle closes around 350. So go ahead and set your alarm to look at things around 345. I want you to practice trade these things so you can learn by doing. Lastly, just for kicks, my friends, as I promised, what's going on with Bitcoin? I'm looking at the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index. And again, it's nice that the NYSE tracks that for us. We see for the day Bitcoin down a whopping 21.40%, down to $32,062.70. Now, Bitcoin, of course, has a lot of surging both ways. How do we see the week starting off? Well, the high this last week was, let's see, the high last week, 40,793. How high has it been so far? 40,793. That's probably a carryover from that prior movement. Perhaps that's where it started. Again, Bitcoin is tracked different. It is not an ETF. It's not a stock. It is tracked differently. The NYSE is doing the best it can to help us track that. We see the derivative oscillator losing some momentum. Price percent oscillator, which was spiking up, gone flat. We're going to see a little more as we go to the 2-day. You can see a red open box spinning top. And again, a lot of blow off of all that steam, all those weeks of green up candles, particularly these last weeks, building, bam! Price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator losing momentum. So again, lots of blowing off of steam there. Now, what are the opportunities here? Well, of course, we had our latest 2-day recross jumping in point around the 21,000 mark. If you jumped in on your practice trade then, you did quite well all the way up to 40,793. You're still doing great. Even at the low of 32,000, hell, you jumped in on your practice trade at 21. So not bad on a 2-day recross. What is this giving you the opportunity to do? Of course, you can continue to watch, see if you have a crossover, what we call a crossover going down on the 2-day, and might give you another 2-day recross going up in the near future. Some of you have already taken profits on that practice trade. Good on you. Some of you are just hanging in there and just going with the flow. Again, I always encourage you to do what? That is to set your profit and loss bands every time you jump into a trade, no matter what. Now, those of you who've been tracking the half-day chart, of course, you had a half-day jumping in point. Not real big on using the half-day as a trigger trade, but of course, some of you have been doing that. Of course, you guys let me know all the stuff you're doing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There were, and again, these are more often, but also less accurate. Now, you did have that crossing over in the morning, of course, during the day on Monday as things started to hammer down. The thing about Bitcoin that's different than you will see in other types of equities, securities, Bitcoin, just part of its nature is it's going to surge. It's going to surge and crash, surge and crash. About the time you hear everybody saying, I got to get into Bitcoin, that's when they lure the suckers in, my friends, and they pull the plug. So again, just watch, wait, practice trade, learn how this works. There's plenty of time always to learn to do the right thing. Don't rush into anything. Don't catch a falling knife. You're sure to be skewered. My friends, that's what we have today. Thank you for all your support. We love to hear from you. cw@chartingwealth.com if you want to support us as a Patreon supporter. We always appreciate that. And the book is available. And like I said, when we get the ebook finished, everybody's going to get a free copy of that. All of our book buyers. So shipped out a number of books today. We got a number more autographed copies. We'll get them out to you. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.